And we are now live on YouTube. And then I'm going to shut these windows down just so that we don't hear echoes. Cool. All right. Okay, so we are officially live, and I am very, very lucky because I was able to convince Nathan to be able to spend about 45 minutes with me so we could talk about his wholesaling business, investing business, creative finance. Nathan?
I dabble in a little creative finance. I wouldn't say I'm the master. There's a lot of people out there better than me. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean that applies to us all. I think we can say that. So I got him for 45 minutes. I'm gonna grill him. He's doing some amazing things inside of his business. I've been following him for some time now, and he was gracious enough to give us a little bit about what he's been doing. But more importantly, what I am really intrigued about is his challenge. I guess is it a self-imposed challenge that you're doing, or did somebody bet you some money on this new market, one man, or watch me build a team and a new market with no money.
Yeah, money, right? I wanted to do it, right? Because I have a lot of new students and people that watch me. So I think I tell them to do what I'm doing. Like I show them, and
Yeah.
I'm not saying I don't see a lot of action, but I think they're skeptical, right? Even if I show them, like, hey, this is how you do it. And for me, I'm like, let me show them how to do it. Like this works. You just have to put in the effort and the time. So it was me, and I also have someone in my company that wanted to do it too that I just brought on, and it was like, hey, let me show you, because I don't know what it's been with me, but like even when I did door to door sales, like there's a lot of managers that would just go say, all right, everybody go knock, and then they would just sit back at the office and hang out. But I would go knock, and I would lead by example. And when I follow anyone, I want to say, are they even legit? Like, do they actually know what they're talking about? So that's why I'm doing it, is because I want people to know that like I'm legit. I'm not just like talking out of my butt, you know?
Yeah, there's nothing like doing it live too. It's a little RJ Baitish, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I would say
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
You know, I'm
So
not as
yeah,
cool as that guy. RJ Bates, pretty cool guy. I'm not there yet, but I'll be there hopefully one day.
yeah, humble brag.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we dive in, I'm going to do this all the time. I borrowed these questions from the book A Tribe of Mentors. It gives us an opportunity to get to know Nathan a little bit more, but it also gives us the audience time to participate in the comment section. So if you're hearing this and everything is coming out clear and the video is coming out clear, could you please do me a huge favor? Just give me a quick thumbs up or just a comment so that I know that you can hear us okay. That would help us out a lot. It also helps out with the algorithm. Okay, so let's. So, Nathan, what are 1 to 3 books that you give out either as gifts or 1 to 3 books that have impacted your personal life or your business for our readers, our audience, our listeners?
I really like the Slight Edge. I don't know if you've heard of the people in the audience have heard about it, but it just talks about taking little actions daily that basically consist of like that end up have great things happening from small actions, and that's really helped change my life and being consistent, right? Because you don't see the results immediately. So the Slight Edge is great. Traction is another book. I got all my books over there. That's a great book on how to structure your business, how to build a team, how to run meetings like in the daily. How like it's a great book. Traction is a great book to on how to run your business. And then another one is How to Win Friends and Influence
Mm.
People is another great one. I think it's been a goal of mine to be interested in people. In the past, when I was younger, I was like, I don't care about small talk. I don't want to talk to just some random person, and I don't care about that. That was kind of like my mentality. But now it's like, hey, everybody's got an amazing story. Even if you sit down with your grandma or grandpa and you're like, hey, tell me, just ask good questions, right? Be interested. They'll tell you some crazy stuff. But as a kid, you don't really do that, right? It's your grandma and grandpa. I never really dived in deep on, tell me about your life, right? But yeah, that's those are 3 books that have really helped me out.
Yeah, that was a great book. If you see me typing, if I look it away, it's only because I'm taking notes on what you're saying. Just
Yeah, of course, no
okay,
problem.
cool. What purchase of $100 or less that you would be willing to share that has impacted your business or personal life, right? Or an app or a tool that you use every day in the business. $100 or less.
I've purchased a lot of books that have helped me plan, planning books. Like I'm just thinking of one, right? So I got a book that was it was like how to plan your life out, and then I made my own planner from like not copying but like trying to learn from its ways. So I plan out my life by 90 days. Then I plan every week, and then I plan every day, and then I write a letter for myself a year from now so I can see, okay, like this is where I'm going. So planning's huge, and you can like get planners for so cheap. And really, if you want to accomplish, in my opinion, anything, you got to know where you're going. So I would say planners.
That's good advice. All right. Um, is there a specific failure or setback that you can think of? Perceived failure, right? Other people may have thought it was a failure,
Right.
but somehow you turned it around, and it changed the way you do business. It changed your life, and now it's like one of the foundations of who you are.
You know, it's really tough for me to think about failures because everything is a stepping stone, right? Like for example, when I wrestled in high school, I started freshman year, I was terrible, right? And then I just kept going. I didn't give up, and then I got better and better in every year, and then eventually placed in state my senior year, got third, not first, but still decent. And so it's I would say maybe losing in wrestling sucked, and not winning the state championship sucked, but in all reality, it's all good. So I don't really know. I would just say every failure is okay because it impacts you and helps you learn. Like I just lost money on a deal, unfortunately. I had a seller finance deal. Everyone talks about seller finance deals are so great. They're not great if you don't structure them right. And a lot of things can't happen if you're not like you're not good at not that you're not good. I had structured the deal and it had made sense, but the market shifted in my area of Salt Lake City, so the values really dropped. So I had given a down payment to a seller. He was supposed to use it to fix up the property. He didn't fix up the property, didn't move out. And so a lot of that trust that I gave to him was like, hey, I trust that you're going to use this. You're signing an agreement that you're going to use this money to fix up the house. I trust that you're going to get it out. None of that happened. So failures like that sucks to lose money, but at the same time, it's like, hey, you learn from everything. Am I ever going to give a seller a down payment and let him stay in the property? Probably not. Like, no, that's not a good idea. So anyway, failures, can't think of one, but everything is good. That helps out in the end.
That last one that we were talking about, was that a novation deal?
No, so it was a seller. It was a creative deal. So the seller owed like $200,000 on their mortgage at the time. The house, as is, was worth like 520, 550. So as is. So we got it under contract for 550. Put a little like 20K down, and we were like, hey, use this 20K that we're giving you down to fix up this property. And and then when we sell it, when we resell the property, it will be worth 600, 620. And then anything we make above 600 that we sell, we'll split it. So the incentive was like, hey, fix it up. You said you would. You've signed an agreement. And because he wanted more money. So he said, this is how we can get you more money. Fix
Sure.
it up and we can sell it. And what ended up happening is he took the money, didn't fix up the house, didn't move out when he's supposed to. And then it's like the house value dropped from 550 as is to like 450 as is. So he didn't fix up the house and the market went down. So now it's like, well, we owe 520. We already gave him 20, so we're in 500, and he didn't do anything. Now, if he would have fixed it up, probably would have been fine. If he would have been quicker, we would have been fine before the market shifted. All this stuff happens, and it's unfortunate, but it was a creative deal. Yeah.
Wow, man.
Terrible idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't partner with people and like you have to. If I had to go back, I'd say, okay, you're not getting all the money down. If you're going to fix up the house, we're going to give you a certain amount after every project you complete. That's what we'll do instead of just giving it to them in a lump sum. I was dumb, I'm young. I'm 31. Maybe I should have known, but I trusted the guy, and that's what happens.
So, looking at it now, could you have structured it to where now he transferred title, right? It was seller
Yeah,
finance.
yeah. We
Transfer with
we owned
title.
it. Yeah, we owned it, but the thing was, we had a short balloon as well because we were like, hey, by the time he fixes it and we can sell it, it'll be quick, right? The market was hot then. It was the market shifting and then him not doing his part that really kicked us in the butt. And I could have evicted him because he didn't do what he said, but I also, in my back of my mind, like I didn't want to evict somebody and that had no money that put them out nowhere. I just didn't feel good about this one for some reason. So I don't know. There's a lot of weird things on this deal, but that
Wow.
was a failure.
Yeah, learning lesson. Okay, cool. All right, so if you could have a massive billboard, okay, seen by millions of people daily, what would that billboard say?
Oof. That's a great one. Probably wouldn't have to do anything with work. It'd probably just be like something like stay consistent. Like take action and stay consistent. Because I believe like no matter what you do in life, whether you're going to the gym, jujitsu, whatever you're trying to improve, weight, this is what you got to do. You got to take action and stay consistent. And if I had a billboard and I didn't care about money, in this scenario, I'd do something to help people, know what they need to do in life.
Cool. All right. Now that you've said that, take action, stay consistent. Any quotes that you personally live by?
I'm not a big quote guy. At the top of my head, I probably wouldn't be able to just rip out a quote, but I do
Okay,
have a
cool.
lot of quotes that I read. So quotes I live by, love one another, love everybody.
Cool.
That's pretty
Okay.
much it.
What is a unusual or absurd thing that you do that you really really love that most people wouldn't peg you for?
I like to go birding. Me and my wife like to look at birds and take pictures of birds. I actually like to play a game called Wingspan, which is a birding game. It has like little eggs, and you play. It's a card game, and it's a game on my Switch. So I enjoy that a lot. It's really relaxing. It's fun. So I like birds. Yeah,
That's
birds are good.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would peg you for that. All right. Last one. So, what advice would you give to someone is just entering into our profession, right? Or let's just say they're fresh out of school, maybe fresh out of college, and they want to become a real estate investor like you or I. What's the first bit of advice that you'd give them?
I think I would let them know it's like, hey, look, this industry that you're going into, it's a lot of work, right? And a lot of the gurus or people they watch, they might see big checks and they might see like flashy cars and stuff, but that's not what I'm about. And showing that stuff gets people interested, right? But what I'm telling people is like, hey, you want that stuff? You got to work hard, you got to be consistent, and you got to take action. It's not like you can make 5 calls to a seller and you get a deal. Sometimes you can, like some people get lucky, but I think that's like a curse most of the time if you get a deal that quick, because then you're like, oh, it should be that easy. It's not. You gotta take a lot of work. So if you're new, my advice to you is this is great work, but it is work. It's not like you can quit your job to come here to a passive industry. Like it's not very passive. Even people that are landlords have to deal with toilets. They have to deal with tenants. Like there's a lot of work involved.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Great answer. Okay. All right. So we've given the algorithm enough time. I appreciate your answer to those questions. Let's get into the meat and potatoes, man. So you've built a very, very successful business, and now you've also built and are continuing to build a successful coaching program for people that want to learn wholesaling. So if I was a new student, right? I'm brand new, and I'm
Mhm.
coming to you as my mentor. I am your mentee. What's the first bit of advice you tell me in terms of me getting my wholesale business started? What do I got to start doing?
Great question. That's the amazing thing about this 30-day challenge is I'm actually doing it, right? So I'm actually going through the course that I would tell someone to do, and what that is you have to master. Well, there's a lot, right? So, but the first thing is like mindset, right? You got to get your mind right. Be sure you're ready to take the action, right? Because I see a lot of people that want to get into this, and I know mindset is like, that's the buzzword. Everyone's like rolls their eyes when they talk about mindset, but really getting the mind right and being understanding that you gotta take action daily. But once we get past mindset, I would say mastering one market and finding buyers. I know that was 3 things, but I'll just say those 3. If you want to get started, be prepared, get your mind right, master one market. Don't try to do everywhere in the United States, and understand your market through networking with buyers. I would say that's the most important thing.
Cool. Okay, let's dissect that a little bit. How do you identify? And I know, again, these are conversations that you and I we probably know. We probably high level stuff. But if we're talking to somebody brand new, identify the market that they want to be in. What is the best market for them to be in? How did you do it?
Yeah. So usually the best market to be in is your backyard if you live in a place that has enough investor activity. So there's a lot of investor softwares like they have Batch Leads, Privy. You can go there and see how many flips have happened in the last year or what are active flips. So that's how I pick my market. I use Privy, the software, to say, okay, where in the United States right now is there a lot of investor activity? Because if there's a lot of investor activity, I'm able to wholesale deals, right, or flip deals, or do so. That's how you would determine. But if you're so I went to Atlanta, and it's kind of obvious. Like if there's a large population or a major metro, there's a lot of flips going on because flippers only want to flip properties or work in areas where there's a lot of movement, right? Like a lot of
Right.
people are going there. Um, so if you're in South Dakota or Billings, Montana, or like in the middle of like not that big, there's of a population, then it's going to be a little bit more difficult. I would say a lot more difficult to be consistent. Uh, but some people do it. But for me, I got to go major metro all day. That's what I would say.
Yeah, that's what we're preaching right now too. And you know, it you could have gotten away with it during COVID because people were going into rural areas to get away from the metro areas. But like, try doing that right now, and it's not going to work.
Yeah.
There's not very little investor activity. So we want metro. That's what we're teaching everybody that we're working with to stay in the big cities. Okay, so backyard, and so what is the market that you're, and we're going to go into your challenge, but like, what is the market that you really like, and the market that you tend to focus most of your attention on?
So Salt Lake City is mainly because I live here is where I've done most of my deals. But so Salt Lake City, Utah. In this challenge, I'm going to Atlanta. It's not so much an area that I've done a lot of deals. I've done deals there, but not focused. So, but yeah, Salt Lake City would be it, the one that I like, and because I know it, right?
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
All right. Okay. And so your audience and people that watch you and they've seen you grow, are they also, these are the same people that can bring you opportunities and are currently bringing you opportunities? Is that something that happens because of the following that you have?
Yes, that's mainly how I try to get my deals is through networking because I know how to do all the marketing strategies. I've done them all. They've all been decent at times, right? They all change with time. Like texting was hitting hard, then pay per click. They all ebb and flow. So for me, I was like, you know what? I've ran the business of having the acquisitions managers, the leads managers, the disposition. Like I know how to run all that. I want to do something different, and that's run really lean and get deals with little to no marketing spend. So that's another reason why I want to show people how to do it is through the challenge.
Got it. Okay. So walk me through the challenge. 30 days. What are we doing? Doing it. And let's say somebody wants to replicate it.
Yeah, that's the goal is for people to watch it step by step and replicate it. So I go to an area that I've not don't have existing relationships with in. Well, I actually do in Atlanta because I just know people, but mainly going to an area where I don't have like a big buyers list or leads that I use and no money, right? So
Got
I'm replicating a new investor, right? Like a brand new noob, and uh, and that's how I started out. I was like, I had no money when I first started with my business partner. We just started knocking doors, right? So I can't knock doors. I'm not in Atlanta. So the next best thing is like virtual driving for dollars. And so I'm going to this area, right? And I pick an area. So I picked where I actually grew up in Marietta, Roswell, Georgia, in Atlanta. I didn't know anything about real estate until a couple years ago. So it's not like that's giving me an edge. Most people pick an area because they like there's something about it, right? They grow up there, they know the area, they like it. So I picked it, and my first day I set up my systems, right? So I understand that if I want to be consistent and I want to get deals, I need to reverse engineer. I need to walk backwards. How many calls, how many contracts, how many offers I need to make. So I have a calculator that actually you can put your numbers in and say, hey, I want to make $1 million this year. Okay, so how many calls would I need to do every day? How many offers would I need to make? So I did that the first day. I figured out, okay, what do I need to do to get 1 to 2 deals this month? All right, so I worked it back. Now I know what I need to do. I set up my KPI tracker. Most CRMs have KPI trackers, like where you can track stuff. I don't have a CRM in this challenge at the moment because that costs money. And so I'm just using a Google, what is that, form to fill it out. So I set up all that. And that was pretty much day one, was just getting prepared, setting the goals, figuring out the actions I needed to take, and getting my KPI tracker. Because really, I think things that a lot of investors struggle with, and even I struggle with, is keeping track of what you're doing, your actions, right? You just want to go and do it. You don't want to track it, but tracking
Right.
is so important because if it's not measured, it can't be, improved, right? Because you don't know
Right.
what you're doing. So did that, and then the second
Just
day,
to slow down real
yeah, yeah,
quick.
of course.
Um, so let's go over what a K, what again, for the brand new person, KPI trackers. What does KPI stand for, and what does it track?
Yeah, key performance indicators, right? So key performance indicators are specific things you have to do in order to achieve a goal, right? So your key performance indicators would be things that would help you get a deal, right? So if you start the challenge and you say, hey, I want to get one deal this month, that's great that you want to get one deal, but that's like saying I want to be. Right now, let's say, for example, I weigh 180 and I want to weigh 160. That's like me starting my 30-day to goal to get to 160 and just saying I want to get to 160. Well, that's great, you want to get to 160, but what are you going to do about it?
Right.
You saying that doesn't help you get there. And that's kind of what happened on the 30-day challenge. It's like, okay, I want to get one deal, but so does everybody, right? That's
Right.
not going to help me get there. So I had to reverse engineer what I needed to do with KPIs in order to hit that goal. So the KPIs that I know I need to hit are, okay, how many calls do I need to make a day? How many offers do I need to make? How many comps do I need to comp? How many properties do I need to actually look at? How many buyers do I need to talk to? Right? So these are specific things that if I do not hit every day, I'm probably going to be off track on hitting my goal, right?
And
But
this was to generate $1 million in income for the year.
no. So that was just an example in this
Oh, okay.
challenge because I got no money. I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, I'm making $1 million with no money, right? If you want to get there and scale, you're gonna have to spend some money, some marketing dollars, right?
Yeah,
But
got it.
this challenge, what I did was I figured out if you want about 1 or 2 deals a month, you're gonna make about $360,000 a year. So what I did is 360 in a year, so that's 1 to 2 deals, and then I just found out what that would be for the month. What would that be for each day? Yeah, if you're doing
Cool.
one to
Are
two
you
deals
willing
a
to
month,
are you willing to share that? So let's say two to what how many calls would somebody have to make per day?
yeah, let me give that to you really quick. So I have the sheet out here, right? Because this is
I think I have an idea. I'm just curious to hear.
daily. Let's see. Is that okay if I look at it really quick? Okay, it's right
Yeah,
here.
yeah. That mean
So right here, this says that in order to get, let's see, calls, opportunities, offers, contacts, conversations. Let's see. You know what's interesting? This spreadsheet that I'm looking at right now actually doesn't talk about calls. It talks about
okay.
opportunities. How many opportunities? It says you need 10 leads a day, and it says you need 5 opportunities. So in order to get an opportunity, you'd probably need to talk to like uh, 10 people. You need to talk to 10 sellers to get an opportunity. So you probably need to talk to 50 people a day. That's or make 50 calls a day. That's probably around that where you need to be.
50, 50 calls or 50 actual fix. So I think it'd be more like 50 connects, right? 50 legitimate conversations would then
I
get
would
us.
say I'd say 50 calls because I mean, as much as I'd like to say you could have 50 connects in a day, it's probably not
Yeah. Okay.
that realistic, at least for me. Because out of 50 calls, you'll probably connect with 20 people. So I would say, according to the numbers that I have here, I'd say if you can do 50 calls a day, you'll have about 10 to 20 conversations, and those 10 to 20 conversations will translate to opportunities, which will translate to appointments and offers. So
Got
that's
it.
where I'm at. I might
Okay.
I might be off on my numbers. What do you have? What are your numbers for that?
So I'm always looking at about a 20 to 30% capture rate.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So and only because I came from like I'm a little bit older than you, so like I started as a real estate broker or real estate agent in the late 90s,
Mm-hmm.
and so all we had were phones. That was it. We were just you either paid magazine ads or billboards or whatever or phones. So all I did was phones. So a lot of my numbers are based on just cold calling or doing that. So I would assume that about 30% capture rate is so if we need 50 actual contacts, then I'd say, okay, we used to coach people, you'd need about 150 calls. So 150
Right.
calls will get you about 50 conversations. Out of those 50 conversations, you'd get about 10 to 15 potential opportunities. And then out of those 10 to 15%, 10 to 15 opportunities, 2 to 3 deals. Like it's always like a 20 to 30% filter through rate.
Yes, I
That,
agree. I agree with you. I think that sounds right, but from my experience, it's to have 100. Are we
yeah,
talking a
crazy.
dialer? Are we talking
Yeah,
dialer or
oh
just
yeah, you'd have to use like a triple or a
okay?
10 line dialer, but then that
Yeah,
costs money, and you're
yeah.
doing it with no
So,
money.
yeah, exactly. No, I
Yeah,
agree with you. If you have a dialer, yes, 100%, you can hit
yeah.
those numbers. But if you're hand dialing and it's one by one,
I used to do
like
it.
yes,
I
yeah,
know what it's like.
it's a grind, right? So 50 to
Yeah.
100, 150 on a hand dial a day.
Oh
Whew. Yeah, so
man, it was
mine was
brutal. I'd be in the corner. It was dark. I'd just be dialing for dollars. Now you talked about virtual driving for dollars,
mhm.
right? Okay. So are you since we're talking about come up with systems that don't require money, you're just using Google Maps or how are you
So
doing it?
so right now I'm using Batch Leads on a free trial.
Okay.
The Batch is helping me sponsor the event,
No, that's cool.
the challenge. So
Yeah,
I'm able to use their service on a free trial,
that's
right? So
awesome.
that's what I would do.
Yeah.
Now, really, like if you want to do it like for free, like and not have it on a trial all the time, because you're gonna run out of credit cards that you can put it on, right? For the free trial. Yeah, driving for dollars. You could do Google, and then you could
Okay.
just look at the Google Maps and look at the what's it called, the address if the house looks bad, and then write it down. But really, I think to efficiently and effectively do virtual, you'd probably have to get like an app, like a software, like
Okay.
so you probably have to pay some money for that.
Got it. And so when you're doing it, have you are you doing that in Atlanta right now in the new market you're going after?
Yeah. So my goal was when I first got to Atlanta was establish the systems, find buyers, understand what people are buying and what they're paying, find a title company, and then now that I know what my buyers want, go find it for them. So I got in touch with the hedge fund that's buying aggressively still in Atlanta, and I
Uh,
have their buy box. I know exactly what they want. So now it's really easy for me to go to the areas they want and find a deal or even leverage other people that are on Facebook, other platforms, and say, hey, bring me those deals. I have a buyer. I'll help you. I'll close the deals. I'll comp them, right? And leverage my skill set instead of just me just being all by myself for 30 days.
okay, so a couple things. One, if someone does have a property or a deal that they're working in um, Atlanta in that
Hmm.
market, could they potentially bring it to you and then you could sell it to the hedge
The
fund?
hedge fund? Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Okay,
100%.
cool.
So that's kind of that's the goal, right? Because if you, in this challenge, if you said, Nate, just go to an area, pick one area, master it, and then you got to get a deal by just cold calling for 30 days. I don't think that's the most efficient way to get a deal for me, right? Because that's just one man. But I
Sure.
know with my skill set, and I think if people learn the right way, they can also use their skill set. Like, okay, I know what a deal is. I have great buyers. I know how to analyze deals. Let me position myself to the market, the people in my area that they can come to me and I can analyze deals. I can bring it to the finish line and help them out, right?
Yeah,
So that's kind of like what this challenge is for me. It's like leveraging other people because there's an army of people that want to learn how to do this. So why not
absolutely.
leverage their ability to go and I'll even help close the deal. I'll even talk to the sellers. Even if they're motivated, I will talk to them. Right. Even if you don't have it under contract, and that's kind of where I'm at right now in the challenge. And it's only been 5 days, so we're moving pretty fast.
That's awesome, man. Okay, you just talked about a hedge fund. Some people don't know what a hedge fund is. And again, some of this might be rudimentary. I'm assuming though that for somebody who's watching this, they don't know that. So walk us through what a hedge fund is, and if you're willing to share how you were able to find them,
Of course.
yeah, let's just talk about that.
So hedge fund, I don't know the exact definition of the hedge fund. I just know they're a corporation that raises money, capital from other people that don't need to find the deals, and they place their investments and give people a return. So this hedge fund is using people's funds and giving them a return and placing their money in real estate. So
Sure.
they're buying aggressively. I don't know how much money they have, probably a lot. So instead of them, that hedge fund hiring a huge acquisition team, which they probably have, they're also leveraging us to bring them deals, right? By paying
Sure.
us wholesale fees. So that's what a hedge fund is. It's just a, let's just say it's a company or corporation that's looking for deals, and they're an end buyer for us.
Yeah, and you can find a list of hedge funds on the web, and I mean
Hmm.
you've got even banks that are slowly start. I mean Chase just announced not too long ago that they want to get into real estate as well. You know, not and I don't mean real estate in the traditional sense of them lending people money, but I mean
Yeah.
real estate in the sense of they want to own property now. They
Yeah.
want to turn into landlords, a la Blackstone and a few other really large
Oh,
hedge
wow.
funds.
That's great.
Um, okay, so how did you meet them? How did you come into contact with them? So if I'm someone who's interested in, hey, look, I'd like to see if I can find a hedge fund who's buying in my backyard. How were you able to make that connection?
Right. Through before, I have a bunch of hedge funds list, right? But I can't use that stuff during this challenge. I got to start all fresh. So
That's
I,
cool.
I, I had to find a hedge fund, and I wasn't really even looking for a hedge fund. What I did is I called title companies that were investor friendly title companies in Atlanta, and I started asking them, hey, look, I'm brand new to the area. I'm an investor from Salt Lake, and I'm very transparent, right? So, hey, I'm from Salt Lake, but I'm brand new in Atlanta. I'm looking for buyers to work with and bring you business. Do you know any buyers that are buying currently that I can, wholesale some deals to, or even find them deals? So I made two calls, right? I called this one guy. He's like, yeah, I'm not giving you that info, or I don't know, whatever. I didn't really like the guy. He didn't vibe with me. He just seemed like annoyed with me. But I made another call to a title company, and I found these title companies online. I just typed in investor-friendly title companies online, and I found a list. And I called. She had a good conversation, and I said, "Hey, who are your top buyers right now?" And she said, this hedge fund right now is buying the most deals right now. Here's their buy box, and here's their info. So then I emailed them a deal that I found. My second day, I got a house under contract that I found on market. Got it under contract. I sent it to the hedge fund because it met their criteria as far as I was concerned. Sent it to them. They said, no, we're actually looking for lower price properties. So by sending them a deal, now I know deeper what they want. They came
Sure.
back, they told me they want DeKalb County, Henry County, Clayton County. So now I know exactly what counties they want. I know exactly what they want, like criteria, beds, baths, all that. And I got to find it, and I got to leverage the people all over the world, the nation that are interested in work, or that are even working the area. Say, hey, bring me those deals. Let's make some money.
Wow. Okay. You just gave away some for the
That's
people that
it,
are
man.
listening.
That's how you
Yeah.
do it. Like with
Yeah.
no money, that's how you do it. If you have money and you have experience, and yeah, pay for a pay-per-click campaign and try to close some deals. But this is exactly, in my opinion, I'm using my time, so I think it's worth it. That's
Yeah.
how you do it.
Right. So you call the title company you to who they believe or who they obviously it's of record who's purchasing all these properties. You reach out to them. You brought them value by bringing them a deal that you locked up. Now, did they have a problem with the property being on the market? Because some of these hedge funds won't buy properties that are on the market.
I told them straight up. I was like, hey, this is deal meets your criteria, but it's on the market, and I have it below list price. Is that something you would move forward with? And they said they just told me like why it didn't meet their criteria.
Got
They
it.
actually bought in a different part of Atlanta, so that's why they didn't want it. So
Okay.
that, but I feel like me submitting a legit deal I had, even though I didn't, it wasn't a deal after I looked deeper into it. The agent had told me that the ARV was 550,
Mhm.
so I got it 390.
Oh, did I lose you?
Kind of fluffed it up. So I went back to the agent, said, hey, I got to renegotiate. We got the seller down like 25K off of that, but still wasn't a deal because I needed to be at 290. So anyway, I'm just saying, getting that deal from the agent, even though it took me some time, it enabled me to submit a real deal to a hedge fund so they could give me some actual good feedback. So now it worked out, right? I know deeper, like they know I'm legit, and yeah. Anyway,
Awesome. Okay, cool. All right, so we've gone over some of the numbers. We talked a little bit about how you were able to find the hedge fund. You're doing driving for dollars, and are you going after on-market stuff, or are you attacking any of the off-market stuff during this challenge?
So what the strategy that I have to do to be most efficient in this challenge is I'm gonna have to go on market, right? Because it's free, right? On market. I'm going to have to leverage other wholesalers' deals, right? I'm gonna have to
That's
get
right.
on
Okay,
wholesalers' lists
good.
and talk to them, say, hey, can I bring this to my buyers? And I'm not just gonna stick with the hedge funds, right? Like I'll find more buyers in that area, but I'm gonna have to leverage other people's deals because when you have a limited budget in a short amount of time, you can't go and do everything, right? So you gotta leverage the people that are out there. So on market, JV, JV deals, making offers on wholesalers deals in behalf of buyers that I have. What else? Driving for dollars, right? That's cheap. So those are like the four strategies that I'm gonna be doing. And then when people come to me and say, "Hey, mate, I want to work. Can you help me out?" I'm gonna tell them to call Fizbos in the area that the hedge funds buying, and I'm going to tell them to call landlords who have properties for rent and call them and say, hey, I know you got this house for rent. What do you think about buying it, selling? So those are the 6 ways that this challenge I'm going to find a deal, and that I think those are pretty efficient ways. If I was there,
Great,
I'd probably
man.
knock some doors, but that's pretty much what I'm going to do.
This is good. This is good stuff. Okay, so you just talked about JVs, and again, for someone who's brand new, they may not. They're thinking junior varsity, right?
Yeah, that's right.
No, yeah, we're talking joint ventures. All right. So,
Yeah.
what's a JV? How are you finding your joint venture partners, your JV partners? It's awesome and it's brilliant that you've got wholesalers in that area that are feeding you the deals, right? So yeah. So how are you getting on these lists? Number one,
Hmm.
and how are you convincing them to bring you all these deals? Which isn't that. Anyway, go ahead.
Right, great question. So I have a list that I made, and actually before the challenge, one of my mentors said, "Hey, I know you're going to go on Facebook. Here are all the Facebook groups throughout the United States per state of all the investor groups that are there, right?" So
Wow.
I'm using that, right? Like that saved me some time, but now I know every investor group in Atlanta, so I can go there and I can use look at deals. I can reach direct messages people on Facebook. I can say, hey, like I have great buyers in the area. Would you be open to doing a JV with me if I brought you a buyer? Most people will say yes if you bring them a
Yeah.
buyer, right?
Yeah.
So that's one. I don't know if you've heard of the platform Investor Lift, but you can also go to Investor Lift and see wholesale deals that are out there currently, and just call and say, "Hey, look, I have some great buyers. Are you open to me bringing someone?" They're gonna say yes as long as you don't blast their deal out like to your list, and like that's not my strategy either, right? I'm not trying to just get a giant buyers list and blast it out. Like my goal is to get 5 to 10 solid relationships and bring deals to buyers that I know. So that's how you get JV deals. So Facebook groups, let's see, Investor Lift. How would I get on people's Facebook? Sorry, buyers, wholesalers buyers list. I would go on these Facebook groups and I would say, hey, I'm a new buyer in the area. Put me on your list. Start emailing me. And that's how you get on buyers list. You just say you're a buyer, and a bunch of people just start throwing you on their email list. So
What do
those
you
are the
say
three strategies.
to the people who are posting their properties on these groups or even on Investor Lift? Now, as a
Mhm.
buyer, I know that as a wholesaler or as a seller, you have to pay to use Investor Lift. But as a
Yeah.
buyer, does it cost anything to go in there and browse?
No, no, you can browse right now. So if we just went on there, we'd see all the deals. So my
Cool.
goal would be to go on Investor Lift and just see in the specific area of DeKalb, Clayton, what we're talking about, what deals would be there. I'd call the wholesaler and I say, hey, look, hey, I love what you guys are doing. I'm a wholesaler too. I actually have a specific buyer in this area that I think would love this property. I'm not going to blast this deal out to 100, like thousands of buyers. That's not how I roll. Would you be open to JVing on this if I brought you a buyer? And they'll probably say, well, if we wholesale it, we don't want to split it 50-50,
Right.
with you. Then I would say, hey, look, I get that. If you can't find a buyer, let's split it 50-50. And if you do, and I have the best offer, let me just throw my fee on top. So it's a win-win situation,
Sure.
whether we split it and they can't find anybody, or if they do and I still give them the best offer and I just make a couple G's on top.
Right. Bottom line is, it's still a form of outreach. So, I mean, at the
Right.
end of the day, whether you're going direct to seller or direct to agent, not negotiating, but partnering up and doing your outreach with other wholesalers, it makes a difference, right? Especially if you got a buyer.
Yeah, like if anyone called me and said if I had a deal like, hey Nate, if I can bring a buyer that's your best offer to this deal, would you work with me? Of course. That's one
Right.
more person that's going to be working this deal, and that ups the odds of me being able to wholesale. I have no problem with anyone that wants to wholesale anything I have or throw their fee. The thing that most people have problems with are they all you do is you put on your list, you blast it out, then it gets confusing.
Right.
So, but if you have those relationships and it's like, hey, let me make some calls to my people, go ahead, call your people. I don't care.
Right.
You know?
I
So,
never understood the wholesaler that says, I don't want to split the fee. Because at the end of the day, 100% of nothing is still nothing.
yeah, no, I
Yeah.
agree. I think it's because they think they're just gonna blast it out and ruin their deal, right?
Yeah, potentially. Okay. All right. So the JVs, this is good information, man. So you're covering some great ground. All right. So you're also calling the for rents, right?
Yeah, I
Free,
think that's
free.
free.
Yeah. You hop on Zillow and you look at the for rents, and you're calling the people who have their properties for rent. Now, a lot of them, I mean, just again, this is just based on my experience. A lot of them are property management companies,
Right.
and a lot of them are agents. But you're still looking for the mom and pops that are managing their own stuff direct, and then you see if they want to sell instead of leasing it out or renting it out, right?
100%. Yeah. Now, these strategies we're talking about, FSBO, Craigslist, for rents, that's they're not as efficient. We know that, right? But if you either you there's two things. You either have money or you have time, right? Like, so it's you have the time, you don't have the money, so you're gonna have to work really hard, or you have the money, so you're able to spend and do other things with your time.
Right.
So that's
100%.
kind of where we're at right now in this challenge. Is like I don't have money in this challenge, so I have time, and I'm going to leverage other people who have time, and I'm going to teach them along the way. And that's how we're gonna learn, and that's how you learn in the beginning. I don't think anyone should start wholesaling with a $10,000 $20,000 marketing budget, because if they start getting leads, they're gonna light them on fire because they don't know how to negotiate.
Right.
And I did that. My first couple months of wholesaling, they told me to mail, so I mailed $10,000 worth of mail and didn't get a deal, and that sucks, right?
Yeah.
So that's what happens. So you have to either have time, you got to hustle, or you have money. But I wouldn't, even if you have money, I wouldn't recommend blowing it yet or spending it yet until you understand the flow.
Great advice. Okay, we got 10 more minutes. So let's talk a little bit about painless coaching, right? And if you guys haven't caught it yet, his last name is Payne, Payne, painless
That's
coaching.
right.
I like the play on words.
Appreciate it.
So let's give it a plug. How do people find you? What is the website? And let's hear some recent success stories, man.
Yeah, of course. So investorthrive.com
Okay.
is the website. So if you go there, you can grab a bunch of free resources. We give something out called the Wholesaling Noob Starter Pack. For noobs. It's okay. I was a noob once. Everybody's a noob at something. So we give that. It's got contracts, scripts, courses, calculators. It's got everything you need to get going, right? Because there's too many people that come and they say, I want to learn. And then I say, okay, you want to join the mentorship? They don't have the funds, or they're not ready to invest. So I say, hey,
Sure.
I can't leave you with nothing. Here you go. Get started. Get to work. So that's where you can get that. Recent success stories. I just had one of my students. We just closed a $19,000 deal together in Columbia, South Carolina. It was going to be a dud. The guy had a $2 million judgment on him that we were doing the deal. I'm not saying he couldn't have figured it out without me. Maybe he could, maybe he couldn't, but because I understood how to overcome those, we got the attorney involved. They figured it out, got rid of it, closed the deal. There's a lot of ups and downs of that deal, but that was a win. It was his biggest check. We split it because he's in my program. It's 60-40 instead of a 50-50. He got 60%, so he made 11,400. I got the remainder. He's happy, biggest check, so that's a win. Another one of my students just did an 18K deal. So and it's not anything I'm doing. These people are taking action, and I'm available and there to help them, guide them along the way. Like, it's hard for me to take credit for any of these guys that are working hard, right? Because in the end, when I when I was doing my deals when I was a noob, the coach didn't really do that much, right? Like I was doing the work, but he was there to help me. So,
Right.
mentors, in my opinion, are there to kind of guide you and help you and make sure you're taking the right actions and not wasting your time. But they're not going to make you call. They're not going to make you do the activities. That's on you. So, I want people to be aware that whoever they work with, it's it's not like a magic. You pay 5K and it's done, right? Or whatever the fee is.
Right.
Yeah, I paid for a lot of coaching, and I've never expected the coach ever to do anything for me, right? Because that's not how it works. I expect to network, to learn, to grow, but that's nothing like they owe me a deal, right?
And you bring up a good point because you're still I've seen your participation in other events. You're still hiring coaches. You're still going to these network events. You're still rubbing elbows with a lot of the people that are in our profession. So like you're still heavily investing in yourself by doing all of these things, yourself.
Oh, I think it's a never ending coaching for me, mentorship is a never ending thing because there's always someone one step, at least one
Mhm.
step ahead of you. And I think you can always learn. Like I've spent a lot of money on mentorships and I attribute a lot of my success to mentorships, like
Yep.
masterminds, mentorships, because you get in rooms with other people that are are in a different part, I would say more successful, but it's really, they're just at a different stage of life, right? Different stage of the process. Um, so you see what they're doing and you can mirror what they're doing, right? So if someone, like, I'm not as far ahead as most people, right? But if someone saw me that's brand new, they can say, oh, look, Nate's going to this market. He found a title company. He found a buyer. Okay, now he's reverse engineering. Do that, right? That's
Right.
exactly what you need to do. So it's just mentorships are great. I love it.
Cool. All right, I'm gonna check real quick before I let you go. Some of the comments, I'm just hoping that I'm not gonna get any background noise um,
Yeah, you good.
from the videos. So I got a question from someone. They wanted to hear what your cold calling pitch is like.
Cold calling pitch, huh?
Yeah, this is from Tiger Chung.
Tiger tongue. All right.
Tiger Chung. Yeah,
Oh, Tiger Chung.
yeah.
Okay. So we can role play it if you
Cool. All
want.
right. Yeah, let's do one.
Okay, so I'll call you. Let's just say your name's John, right?
Let's go.
Okay. Hey, John, how's it going?
It's pretty good. How can I help you?
Good, good. Hey, sorry to call you out of the blue like this. I'm calling because I saw that your house might potentially be for sale. Not sure if you're open to selling at the moment.
Maybe we might be.
Oh, you're thinking about it?
Well, we're thinking about leaving the state.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, again, I didn't really get to introduce myself. I'm sorry. My name's Nathan Payne, and I'm calling just to see if we can chat about your property, see if I can make you an offer. That's kind of the purpose. I'm an investor, so I just want to see if I could make you an offer on the property and see if we can buy it. Do you have a couple minutes to talk, or did I catch you at a bad time?
No, I can chat. I was hopping on Zillow. Zillow says my property's worth probably about 400 right now. So I think if I was to sell it, I'd be looking for like 415. I mean, is that something that you think you'd be able to swing?
Ooh, that's if I were you, I'd probably want the exact same thing. So a lot of my offer really depends on a couple variables, like uh, how soon you want to sell, with the condition of your home. So I'd have to ask you a couple questions. If you're okay, I just need about 5 to 10 minutes to ask you some questions, and we can dive into it. Do you have that much time?
Sure. Yeah, let's talk. All right.
Okay, okay, great. And then I would dive into it, right? So I've gotten the permission. We can keep going if you want.
Yeah. Dude, honestly, we might end up having like another session if you're open to it, where we do like I love doing role playing, like
Yeah, I love role playing. I think it's
and
great.
seeing who can overcome the better objections.
Yeah.
They have the what is that, the closing
Yeah,
Olympics?
I've heard about that. Right.
Yeah. So anyway, I wanted to see what it's going to take to get on the stage. But anyway, that's another conversation. So yeah, you handled it brilliantly, right? I mean, we could have broken it down way deeper. I think sometimes people tend to overcomplicate what the splits
Yes.
are.
Yes.
And
Yes.
they think that there's this magic thing that we say when really it's just asking questions, which is what you were doing. It's just asking the right questions, extracting the right information, and then in a way that makes sense to them, right? And then
Exactly.
closing. That's pretty
Well,
much it.
I want to add to that. So I think a lot of newer investors they ask questions about what script, what do you say, because they get rejected a lot, right? So they think it's their problem. They think it's something they're saying that's wrong. It's not. That's you might not be that good, but the fact that you're calling alone is great, right? That you're gonna learn over time, but it's not, the script doesn't really matter. If you call someone and say, "Hey, are you selling?" and they're selling, that's it, right? Like, but most of the time people aren't selling, and you're definitely not gonna be able to convince someone. If you call me on my couch while I'm hanging out with my wife, we're watching a movie, you call me and say, "You want to sell?" Absolutely not. I'm not even thinking about that. But
Right.
if you so it's nothing, there's nothing you can say to convince me or someone that has not thinking about it to sell, right?
Right.
I even ask people, I'm saying, "Hey, look, I know you said what's your offer? Let me ask you this before I go into it. Were you even considering selling before I called you, or have you been thinking about it, right?" And if they're like, "No, I wasn't considering it. I'm just open to your offer." Well, I'll say, "Look, I don't want to waste your time. Like, I am an investor. I'm looking to move on a property like quickly. I don't want to waste your time and talk about your property, all that stuff, if you're really not really selling, right?" So
Right.
you have to find that out too, because you'll waste your time with a lot of people that'll be like, "Yeah, tell me your offer." Like, no, let's find out. Are you really selling? Are you really moving? Because let's get this going if you are. So anyway, that's my
Right.
advice on
Yeah.
calling.
Great advice. We're running a little bit short on time,
Mhm.
but one of the things I don't think we really talked about was the importance of follow up. Because just going into our CRM, and again, I use acronyms a lot, and so does Nathan. CRM is your customer relationship management software, or contact relationship management software, whatever you want to call it. It's basically the way you organize all of your data and all of your stuff. And during this challenge, Nathan, you mentioned using a spreadsheet because most CRMs cost money.
Right.
But when we go back and track our KPIs, which we talked about earlier, I can't tell you the number of opportunities that we've missed, not because we weren't on point with our numbers, but just because we weren't good enough following up. That's the fortune is in the follow up. It's said all the time, and if we're not following up enough, that's where we run into problems. So, what's your follow up game like?
Oof. You know what? CRMs, as you're mentioning it, like they're key. Like, if you want to make this a business, you need to be able to have a CRM, because you can set tasks for yourself. You can
Yeah.
set up follow up sequences. That is so important, right? Because if you start getting 20, 30 leads plus, good luck remembering all that on a spreadsheet,
Hmm.
right? I've never been able to do it. So my follow-up process has always been tasks, putting in certain stages or statuses. And everybody that is new to this, there's in CRMs, you can have specific stages, statuses, pipelines that you can put people in to help you remember, and even automated follow-up with text and emails, which
Yeah.
makes this extremely helpful. Because when you look at one guy who can follow up and call maybe 50, let's say 50 to 100 people on a single line dialer, the email and the follow-up sequences can send out like thousands, right? So you need, if you're going to do this the right way, you need a CRM to be able to do it. But that would be my follow-up sequence process. It would just be having automation really help out, because if you just following up by yourself, you're going to miss out on a ton.
Yeah,
And you
100%.
even miss out on a ton with the automation, because then you get the responses, and if you're not on top of it, yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, and it never feels getting the text message back saying I already sold the property. That's one of
Oh,
the worst
oh gosh.
feelings in the world
It
because you
is.
knew that you made contact with that person. So,
Your mind starts racing. You're like, man, when
uh,
did I miss it? What did I
yeah,
do?
yeah, not good. Listen, I appreciate you doing this for our audience, man. It's
Mm,
meant the world to me, and I know that there's people that are going to see the value in this, and they're gonna implement the stuff that you've been talking about, and hopefully we can get you some coaching clients too, and some opportunities for you, and we can
yeah,
all make money together. Yeah.
that's the goal. Yeah, hopefully we can get some people on the challenge. It's absolutely free. Just watch it on my Facebook group, Painless Wholesaling Group. I'd love to
Cool.
have everybody on there. My goal is to help people succeed. So
All right, bud. Thanks for doing this, man. Good
anytime.
luck
Thank
on
you
the
for having
challenge.
me.
Take care.
Thank,
Bye.
thank you.